Nyali, Banjalangi, Rakol Jugun. Nyali Gani Garama, Mala Jugun. Wana Jangma Malaganu, Mala Jugun. Nyali Wana Janga Mala, Jugun. Nyali Nyani, Mala Jugun.
We Arakal people from Bunjalang country. We look after this country. Don't do wrong round here, this country. We don't harm this country here. We belong to it.
Nyali Banjalang Nyi, Arakul Jagun. Nyali Banjalang Nyi, Arakul Jagun.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. You may not be aware of the fact that Dr. Smear is here. He's just standing over at the moment. But we are what I call the lead-in act. We're going to spend the next half hour warming up the audience for what Dr. Smear is going to talk about. And we're going to do that by showing you some rocks. Now, we haven't picked up any of these rocks. We've never bought any of them. They were sent to us by different people. And our job, and we're still in the process of doing this, aren't we?
Yeah, still trying to do it.
We're going to put them on country and invite everyone to come in and do ceremony with them. That's our role. The rocks you're going to see today are part of that group. And the reason we're showing these rocks because it backs up everything Dr. Samir is going to talk about further on. He's going to talk about very big rocks. We're going to talk about little rocks. Well, with the exception of one rock, which weighs about 8 kilos. And that rock's never been shown anywhere because it just weighs too much. It means we can't take any other rock. So hopefully what we're going to do now is we're going to go through a series of slides, and we're going to start with a rock that relates directly to the pyramid at Bosnian. And that's why we wanted to open with that one first. Oh, it's there. Okay, thank you. Okay. This rock was dug up 1.5 metres beneath the surface at a place called Carrion.
Yeah, she was building a house, I think.
Yeah, she was building a house, and they dug down 1.5 metres, and there on the top of that was that rock. Now, what she did was she approached all the academics and said, I found this rock, and they just denied it existed. They said it can't be here.
I think if you shut that door in her face, basically.
Yeah, some just threw her out. And finally, she got in contact with us when we were taking Michael Tellinger into country. And when Michael saw the rock, he got so excited. And he told me and he told Evan, he said, this is much better than the Blombos rocks. And I've got to be honest, I hadn't a clue what he was talking about. And I could have sort of said, yeah, it is, but I thought that wouldn't work, would it? I said, I don't know what you're talking about, because we hadn't got any interest in rocks. We weren't doing them. Anyway, this begins the story. Now, when you look at this rock, you'll see a couple of things. By the way, the Smithsonian Institute have told us this is unique in the world.
They would love it.
Yeah, and of course they've also asked to take it off us and store it in a box 3 stories down, and you'll never see it again.
Just think of the last scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, well, they would have been there. So, ladies and gentlemen, what have we got on this rock? There's a few things. Number one, there is a coat on top, and it's been laid on the rocks. And by the way, there's many that have got this. It's chert and a resin that stick onto that rock, and there is a machine that made this. I'm going to talk about that a lot. There was a technology in this country that exceeds what we have today, all around the world. And something happened, and we know what that was. Civilizations have come and fallen here. Ask the Hopi, they'll tell you. Okay, if we can go a bit further. Next one, please, Evan. Right, and we're going to go straight to Bosnia. Now, the reason we're doing that is because we're looking at the language, the first language ever spoken. And it's not words, because words can be used by people, and I don't know what people are saying. I spent some time recently with Dr. Samir. When they talk in Bosnian, I've learnt one word, da, which means yes. That's all I've got. I did hear the word takeaway and figured that could have been, but it's not. It's actually English. So, what have we got here? Let me tell you something about what took place with these rocks. Is the next one got the angles on it? Oh, good. Okay, we'll go back to forward. Okay, a gentleman called Dr. Derek Cunningham. From where, Evan?
Oh, I think he's Scottish.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's from England. He goes around the world measuring. Oh, actually, the
And
Scottish may not
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, no.
No.
Scottish is Scottish, English is English.
Okay, well, one of the two. He's not from Australia. Okay, what happened was, ladies and gentlemen, he measures angles in all the caves everywhere because he believed the first language. He didn't have complete proof, but he got it with this. He believed the first language was mathematical, which means 1 and 1 make 2 anywhere. Doesn't change. Therefore, you can communicate. And if you look at the Bible, it talks about the Tower of Babel. And what did they say before the Tower of Babel? There was one language. And that's a better way to be. Now, what he does is he measures to 2 decimal points on some occasions, and they're quite precise.
You'll notice there's a couple of...
Yeah, it's
numbers.
interesting. The most powerful number on all our rocks is 33 degrees. Coincidental? I think not.
And
The Masons knew a bit.
and guess where that rock was found?
Yes, it was found at Kariong, and guess what the latitude of Kariong is? 33 degrees. There's a lot of coincidence going to turn up here. So what happened was, both sides of that rock were measured, and we compared them to 3 other rocks. And let's start with the first rock, which comes from Bosnia. It comes from one of the tunnels that Dr. Samir has been involved in. It was picked up, and what we did was we got Dr. Derek to analyse that rock. And you'll notice over there are 15 angles. Ladies and gentlemen, of those 15 angles, all of them, by the way, there's 3 sides of that rock, you're not seeing all of it, all of them are on that rock. Now, that could be a coincidence. It could be just sheer good luck that the angles are identical. 15 out of 15, all on there. But there's more, aren't there, I hope? Good. Okay, then we go to Calgary, which is in Canada. And he had measured this rock already, and there were 21 angles in there. 19 are found on that rock I showed you before from here, from Australia. Then we go across to Germany, where he measured 10 angles. And of those 10 angles, how many were on our rock? All 10. So when you add that up, we have 3 rocks. One from Germany, one from Bosnia, one from Calgary. We've covered the Northern Hemisphere. And of those 46 angles, 44 are on this rock. Now, that's not a coincidence. I claim this is the Rosetta Stone of first language. And that's probably one of the reasons why the Smithsonian Institute are so keen to pick it up. But this rock goes even further than that. There is more to it than just that alone. Now, I can tell you with this particular rock, there are lines there that are finer than my hair, what I've got left of it. And it runs across one side. All rectangular rocks in Australia have 2 marked sides, one side that is completely clean, which is this one, and one that has fine lines. We've got 4 rectangular rocks and they all obey exactly the same pattern. That's not a coincidence, by design. These rocks are our history. They're our past. And I can tell you now, the one you know about now is a lie. It's not the truth. These rocks tell us so much more. Now, more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, these lines weren't chiseled, they were cut. So we're getting technology here that doesn't seem to fit into mainstream stories about what happened here. We'll go fairly quickly because we're going to keep going for half an hour. Are you timing this?
I've got someone... Leah's going to
Leah's
take me
timing.
down when we go too long.
Wave at me when it's half an hour because we've got to stop then. So we're going to go fairly quickly because I want to make a fairly strong empirical point here about what this country's about and what the world was doing.
So what we have there is one of the original Washington, D.C. street maps.
And we didn't. Roz, the lady who found this rock, superimposed Washington, D.C. street map on top. And it's almost identical. Coincidence again? We've gone past coincidence now. We're fully into design. Okay, next one, please, Evan. We're going to go quick. All right, number 2. Now, have you got the pointer?
Yep.
Can you point at that line there that's inside the letter A? Along that letter A, as it runs all the way through there, you'll see it down the bottom. There's the finest line or cut that runs all the way through that. Remember, you've been told Aboriginal people had a stick, stone, bone technology. How would you cut that rock with another rock or a bone or a stick? You can't. And it's the letter A. And we happen to know, and we're not talking about that today, the first language spoken in Australia, that's one of the letters we had. And you've also got their imprints. You've got dot language there, and then you've got lines with dots inside them like a computer readout. There are different forms of language on these rocks. The angles are one story. The dots are another. The imprints are yet another story. In all, we've counted 7 different types of language on these rocks. And they're all spread through a lot of these different angles. Okay, next one, please, Evan. Right, this one. Now, this is a fascinating rock. The people who collected, the people who stole these rocks, they went around with people like Burton, Elkin and others, and they worked with them. And what Burton and Elkin didn't know is when they left, they stole rocks everywhere. This rock stayed with the collector until he died. It's got star maps on it. And what's really interesting, and I think it's coming up on the next one, isn't it? That one there. Can you just point to it, please, the red one there? Ah, yeah. Does anyone recognise that constellation? One person did, and I was really disappointed. You remember that, don't you?
No, it's happened once.
It did happen once. Thank God you guys didn't. It's Corona Australis. Anyone familiar with Corona Australis? It's because you can't see it. It's a perfect map. Dr. Derek showed it to us. It's a perfect rendition of Corona Australis. But you can't see it. I can't see it. So how did they see it? And all those circles there are in the right position for the stars. There is the Pleiades on this. There's the Southern Cross on this. There's Orion on this. But the interesting part, if you can point to the top one up there, please, Evan, is the lip that I'm going to hold up here that's across on this one here. And you can come and have a look at it later because it'll be laying on the table until we're finished. That lip is the most important lip you're ever going to see. Because what's happened is this rock has been, you can see the colour underneath, this has been cut and coated with the same stuff I told you before. But then they decided that they wanted to make sure the grip, because this is a right-handed rock, which means it's a men's rock, and they did that by melting, but they melted just the top. And it didn't run down the side into something that was melted. It was hard, like a candle. So it's run down the side, then congealed, which means when they heated it the second time, the heat was localised to just there, but didn't touch here, here, or here. That is high-level technology, undeniable. And I was really keen to get this rock simply because when I saw that lip, I thought that breaks every rule there is. You can't chuck this on the campfire and knock this up. It's just impossible. And you've got to remember, the original people made an enlightened decision when the world blew up, and it did, because during the Younger Dryas, the population of the world dropped by 95%. Something cataclysmic took place. The original people as a continent made a decision. No more technology. They became naked sadhus, and still were until someone turned up recently. Okay.
And didn't leave.
And didn't leave. And all the others have come here, have come for a while and then been told to leave, and they left. That includes the Egyptians, it includes the Spanish, it includes the Portuguese. And the Portuguese were around here, weren't they, Auntie Trudy? Definitely. Okay, next one please, Evan. Oh, that. We got some more information off Dr. Samir. There was a puzzle I had with this rock and he fixed that one up for me. This is an amazing piece of work. If you ever find a rock like that when you're walking around, I'll tell you now, it's not natural. It's not natural. And on one side, you've got 7 spirals. Not circles, but spirals. They're stars, and around it is emu footprints. And we all know when you see the emu footprint on any original thing, that means as on top. We're going up there. I have been told this rock was given to the original people, and there's an interesting story to this. It was given to them 180,000 years ago. Now, we had 7 of these rocks, and these ones, which are from the more ancient technology, more sophisticated, stayed with us. The others went back to original people at Uluru, and they rang us when?
Oh, about a week ago.
About a week ago, 8 of them.
They were all yelling in the background.
Oh, they were yelling and they were excited in the background.
Ask him this, ask him that.
Yeah, ask all these questions. They put me on speaker. But I've got to tell you, Uncle Cyril told me something before when we showed him the pictures. He came up and whispered in my ear. He said, we didn't make this rock. The spirits gave it to us. So this is a sacred rock. Auntie Trudy there's been with that rock and spent some time with it. And this particular rock, on one side has 7 spirals, on the other has 9. I couldn't work out the 9 one until yesterday. And according to Dr. Samir, and I don't doubt anything he says when it comes to facts, Pleiades can be represented with 9 circles or 7. Both. And that solved that problem because I could not work out why there was 9 on one.
We were racking our brains trying to work out.
Oh, we're trying to find a constellation with 9 stars that fitted. But the obvious one was it didn't. And by the way, what's interesting about this rock is it's been dropped once and the colour of the rock is silver. I don't know what that is. But again, we're not going to spend too long on this because we're stopping after half an hour. What has Mesref got to do with that?
Oh, because in the article you said put all the pictures from the article in there. And
We'll get rid of that one. Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to apologise. Ever made a mistake there. That should have never been there.
He did see the slideshow before.
Oh, yes, saw it, but I didn't look at it. Okay, this one. Hang on for a sec. I'll get it up to begin with. There's ochre on this side. Oh, thanks. Yeah, bet might be better. There's ochre on this side, and up the top there's a lacquer that used to run across all of it. It is a stunning piece of work. A stunning piece of work. The male side is that daggy-looking drawing there with some straight lines. The female side, with all the curved lines, has what in the middle? A pyramid. Oh, by the way, there are plenty of pyramids in this country, but I won't talk about that today because Dr. Samir will. Give me that back. Oh, that was yours, okay. Right, let's have a quick look at that one there. Number 1, you can see the pyramid, the 3-sided triangle in the centre there. There is more to that rock. It's been broken. Now, what was it used for? Ceremony. Everything I'm going to show you was used solely for ceremony. These are not utilitarian rocks. These are rocks that are used. What is the most important thing for Aboriginal people? Before Cook came, ceremony. Their whole life was based around ceremony. And they use these rocks, and they've been using them for hundreds of thousands of years for ceremony. And do these rocks have an inner power? Absolutely. Beyond belief. And I will give you one quick example, and I know we won't get through all of this. This rock here, the one I spoke about that the Smithsonian want, my wife, who's sitting in the front row there, was painting this rock, and she made a cardinal mistake. What was it, Del? She touched it with a finger. I was 3 rooms away when she screamed out in pain. And I said straight away, "You've touched the rock." And she did. And I did ask her about 6 months ago, rate the pain from 1 to 10. 10 meaning death, 1 meaning a dull throb. She said it was an 8. It was going to run up her arm, it was running up her arm, would have gone into her heart and killed her. The rock would have killed her. Why? It's a male rock. And number 2, and I'm going to make this point now, Evan, how many people have died touching these rocks?
Several.
Several. When I say don't touch them, I'm begging you not to touch them. We're leaving you to look at them. You can put your hands over them. You can photograph them, but you cannot touch them. They will kill you because they don't know you. You haven't done ceremony. And this is all about protocol here.
Yeah, time doesn't really mean much to them. They're just
No.
locked into their protocol and how they exist.
And think of this, ladies and gentlemen. We write on paper, we write on discs, and there's our history. They write on rocks, and they stay there forever. What happens to our paper, our discs, our floppy disks? They fall apart. These things never do. They stay forever. Next one, please, mate. We're going to go as many as we can. Oh, this one. Ever seen a rock like this before? There's a band called Perfect Circle. Maynard's the main singer. He doesn't know about this rock either. It wasn't named after this. This is a piece of geometry. Perfect geometry. The piece down the bottom is roughed up, so I hold it like that, and I do ceremony with it. I'm going to let you in a secret. Do you know what? We know what the ceremony is. And who taught me that? That lady there. She made an outrageous claim to me. She said to me, "You're not going to believe this." And Trudy, this is true, isn't it? You told me this was used for levitation, didn't you? And I thought to myself, weighs 1.5 kilos. If I dropped it, it's going to fall. It ain't going to float. How are you going to levitate this thing? Well, then I asked my elder, Mesref, who you just saw a minute ago, who had not heard what Trudy said. And what did he tell me? It was used for levitation. Now see, this is the sort of stuff we were doing in this country. And we really should be doing it again. And one day we will. This is why these rocks have come back. This one was found beside that one. What did I tell you about both? Very powerful rocks. Oh, this one.
So this is an example of what's called a silcon.
It's a silcon. It's a power rock. What's interesting with that? It's got crude markings on it. And what I decided to do, because I knew the first language was mathematical, I decided to measure everything there and see if there was an arrangement of ratios. And I got 7 of them. And you can see them written down there. I've got 9, 10, I've got 11, sorry. I've got 11 different ratios where everything is in relation to something else. Everything is in relations of 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 5 to 2. It's 10 times over. Not a coincidence. A language. And you've got to remember there was a time on this planet when we did get it right. And I'm going to tell you, this is not the time. This is not the time. This is the time where we got it wrong again. In fact, some people, the reason why all these rocks have turned up, and the rings, and the skulls, is because Atlantis has risen. It's all around you. And we've got to get rid of it as quick as we can. Next one, please, mate. The second and third silcon. This is a very powerful rock. Perfectly made. Perfectly geometric again. 34 lines on the bottom, 4 on top. That's a ratio. And all around this is a power rock. It's used for magic. That's all I'm going to say about this. This one here, another silcon. Came from a university. Some of these did.
Yeah, I think some have been in basements of universities and they've been slipped out and then put on, of all things, eBay.
A lot of these were bought on eBay, legally. You can still sell original artefacts today on eBay. No one will stop you. And they're going overseas. See, our buyers for a while, no one knew they were doing it. When they started to find out what they were doing, they started bidding against our buyers. And they were bidding thousands of dollars for some of these things, and they were going up and up. They should not leave this country. And they should not be in a museum. They should be on the ground, and our intention has always been with the Ramanjeri to put them on the ground and charge $10 for people to sit inside them for half an hour, and they'll come out changed. We've done that with 300 people, haven't we?
We have, and just
297
said
they had major reactions. One of those 3 had the reaction later on, and the other 2 actually filled in for other people who came and they shouldn't have been there. All the other people, and what was interesting, all of the reactions, all 300, were different. They pick and choose their marks. Next one, please, mate. Oh, that.
So that kind of pale-looking one is like a core sample almost.
We'll do the second one first. Can
Yep.
you point to that there? This particular rock here has got lines running around it, but I found that interesting there. There are 4 lines that don't join. They come close, but they deliberately don't join. This rock has got small marks written all over it. It's got the normal, most of the coats. And by the way, my eldest, Uncle Marbach, spoke about the rocks with coats. They're called the Star Rocks collection. Star Rocks. As on top, so below. So all of these ones that have the coat are part of that tradition. And he said they've been looking for the rocks for 50 years. Elders sent us out on this job. We didn't decide to do it. We were asked to do it. Kano, Uncle Marbach, and many others were watching everything we did. And occasionally we got into trouble, didn't we, Evan?
Yes.
Oh, and the second one. Yep. How are we going for time, Lou? 5 minutes. This one. We had a geologist look at this and he said he's never seen a core sample as smooth as this. There are 28 lines on this and every one of them is a different angle and a different size. He said, I don't know how they could do this. We can just do this today. I said, mate, there was a time when we could do everything better than this. And there was a time when we didn't use filthy fuel either. We used crystals. We used all sorts of stuff. Still going. We've got 5 minutes left. This one. This rock, I went to a place with an elder who threw this at me. This is rubbish, this one here. But if you look closely at it, you will not find a percussion bulb on here. This has been cut. It used to go further up. It's been broken there. But this is a beautiful piece of work. It's a spiritual piece. It's supposed to be rubbed on your head. And you can do some sort of, they say you can do different stuff with it, but I'm not going to talk about that now because I'm not allowed to. Next one. Oh, that one over there. That's this. By the way, when we finish, as I said, you can come along and take pictures of this. You'll see it better. There are holes punched into this. Do you notice what I'm showing you now? I'm showing you so many different forms of technology. It's not just cutting. Everything's on the table here. It's also been coated. It shines. And on one side, you've got the hunter, Orion. You can see him up there holding a spear. And we know who Orion was chasing, don't we? The lady's over there. All right? And on the back, you've got about 40 punched holes in there. How do you do that? Every time you'll come with the same answer. How did they do this? Remember what I keep saying. We've been here before. We've been doing here for so long. And so many occasions we've nearly got it right and then it's all fallen apart. Okay, next one please, mate.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's going into the pyramid up in the nightcap.
Oh, right.
Yep.
All right. Got about 3 minutes left? Oh, 3 or 2. Okay, let me close with this. There's a pyramid up in the nightcap. And I was doing archaeology at the University of New England. And I'll close with this because it's very important to close with this, by the way. And I went to the first big meeting there up at Armidale. And the lecturer came out and started talking to all the first year people there, telling us what we can and can't do. And halfway through the talk, he said something to me I couldn't believe. He said, oh, by the way, in Australia, there are pyramids everywhere. And then he said this, but under no condition will you talk about it. Well, I went up to the pyramid of the nightcap a long time ago. God, really long time ago. And I went and saw a road there, a road that runs through the nightcap. And I walked over aqueducts. I walked over a road where a brush box tree was growing and it was 8.6 metres in girth, 600 years old. And this track had a gutter in it. It had sidings on top and the bottom, and it was about 2 metres across. And Isabel McBride, who saw this, said there's nothing like it in Australia. And I got permission off her to do it. And what was interesting about the whole of this was, this is on a slope like this in the nightcap. If anyone's been in the nightcap, it can get like that. It was so dangerous, I didn't really like walking on it because you could fall down and you wouldn't stop falling. And amongst all these roads, there was a large section that goes from about here to about the seats. And they filled it all and made it flat. And do you know what they put on top of it? A pyramid of about 4 metres height. 4 sides stacked as a pyramid. And I thought to myself, this is Egyptian. And I wrote a paper about this, and they sent it back to me, said, under no circumstances will we mark any paper that mentions a pyramid. And I'm not lying. I've still got the paper where they wrote that. And it started with, "I hate to be a party pooper." I thought, wow, this is going to be good. And they said you could write anything and we'll give you a C and pass you, but don't submit that, we won't. I pulled out of the course. I couldn't see the point. Oh, there's my drawing. And I'm going to close with this. One of the reasons they knocked it back is said, "Where's the pictures?" And I want to close with this. I want to explain something about this. I didn't have any. I had a guy that went with me to work for National Geographic, and he took 43 pictures of the site. None of them came out properly. And do you know what happened? Kodak rang this guy and said, "Can we look at your camera? And we'll take that." What was in Sydney went down to Melbourne. Then it went to San Francisco. And about 6 months later, the camera came back and the 43 photos came back. And what they had done is all 43 photos were on site, had developed into a positive. They were full colour, but they were supposed to be negative. He said, "We can't develop it." And I still remember holding it up like that and saying, "Oh yeah, I can see it now." That site is magical. And that gives you a clue about pyramids. There's so much more to them than that. And why did they place that massive pyramid in the middle of this road? To give it power, to give it strength. So ladies and gentlemen, what we've tried to do in our small little presentation here is make it clear to you when Dr. Samir talks about the fact this pyramid may be 30,000 years old. Of course it is. When he talks about the fact there was massive technology, he talks about the concrete there that we can't even do today. Of course it is, because we're not that clever. We haven't gone forwards, we've gone backwards. And this is our history. Now remember, there are literally hundreds upon hundreds of rocks like this that have been handed to us from all over Australia. Why? Because no one else would take them. And they knew we would. And because we've been given ceremony, we're directed by our elders, we don't go on to country until we're asked to go there. And when we go there, we always take our rocks and do ceremony. Why? Because when I take my rocks to do ceremony, it always works out well because of their magic. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll pass that on.
Good evening. Thank you for coming, you wonderful souls. Stephen and Evan, strong, thanks for the wisdom. When we were younger, they were telling us that our ancestors were monkeys and apes. They were also telling us that first civilizations came into existence about 5,000 years ago, 3000 BC. And that Egyptian pyramids were built by thousands of slaves. And they served as tombs for the pharaohs. I've been researching megalithic and pyramid sites for the last 40 years, and I have concluded that almost everything they teach us about the ancient history is wrong. The origin of man, civilizations, and pyramids. For me, the most important artifact from ancient Egypt is actually not in Egypt, but in Turin, Italy, in Egyptian Museum. It is called the Turin King List. It's a papyrus, 175 centimeters by 45 centimeters. And it gives the names of all the rulers of ancient Egypt in 11 columns. 3 phases. The last third phase is the phase of sons of gods. It started approximately 5,000 years ago, And these are the pharaohs as we know them. The first dynasty, the second, the third, fourth, and so on. And those pharaohs or kings, but they called themselves sons of gods because they wanted to show to the people that they had divine origin. They would rule Egypt, some of them 10 years, 20 years, and if they got lucky like Ramesses II, 67 years. That's the last phase. The phase before that is called the phase with the Venerable Shemsu Hor times. It lasted 13,000 years. And it was the phase with the demigods. They would rule Egypt 200 or 300 years each. And the one before that is the era of gods, with a small g. That one lasted 23,000 years. And every ruler would rule Egypt for 1,000 years in average. 1,000 years each. In the papyrus it is said that gods descended from kingdom of heaven to kingdom of earth. When did it happen? 23,200 plus 13,400, 36,600 plus 5,000, 41,600 years ago. When we think about builders of Egyptian pyramids who had technology to cut, to transport, to install, to design, obviously not slaves or pharaonic times, who did not have tools or transportation means. But if somebody lived for 1,000 years, it would be logical to conclude that they did have technology. Even more important artifact, if you go to the east, Mesopotamia, it's called the Sumerian King List. As a matter of fact, it's a plate where the names and the dates of rulers have been carved into the stone. And the first gods came to Mesopotamia more than 270,000 years ago. Alulim, the first king, the first god, would rule Sumer 28,800 years ago. Alajar, 36,000 years. So the average, 30,000 years. And it lasted to about 30,000 or 32,000 years back in time. And then the second phase, the lesser gods. 23 kings, 24,000 years. 1,000 years each. And it exactly matches the demigods in Egypt. And finally, the last phase, the children of God, the Sumerian rulers as we know them. And we confirm them with the archaeological digging. But the question is, have we dug enough? The answer is no. If we dig deeper, we're going to find proofs for all the rulers in Mesopotamia. For the pyramids, we've been taught that they were built in Egypt and Mexico. And that's wrong. They were built on all 6 continents in more than 30 countries. For Egyptian pyramids, they have been programmed us to think that they were tombs for the pharaohs. According to the non-scientific Wikipedia and Encyclopedia Britannica and mentioned Smithsonian Institute and National Geographic, which are the base for the artificial intelligence. There are 118 pyramids on Egyptian soil. Actually, it's 155. I have visited and investigated all of them. Not a single pyramid has a mummy. Pharaohs have been buried, of course, somewhere, where most of them in the Valley of Kings, 600 kilometers to the south, Luxor, Karnak, but also Thebes and Memphis, the capital of ancient Egypt, and also Abydos and Dendera, not in the pyramid. But since they've been telling us through the educational system, TVs, Hollywood movies, pyramids, tombs, pharaohs, this is what we think. We simply need to deprogram ourselves and start applying science when it comes to the world of pyramids. Kukulkan Pyramid in Chichen Itza, Mexico, a beautiful example of the pyramid architecture, stepped in design. Very similar pyramid, stepped in design, but 10,000 kilometers to the east, Koh Ker Pyramid in Cambodia. Let's analyze a bit. Triangular face, 4 sides. Perfect orientation of the sides, east, west, north, south. From the top, passageway going down. Under the pyramid, 2 chambers. No artifacts, no bodies, because they were resonance chambers. Material, volcanic stone, volcano, iron, energy potent material, and sandstone, quartz crystal, amplifies the energy. On sides, artificial lakes connected by canals, water moves, releases negative ions. So traveling the world, I've realized that pyramids had something to do with the energy. The Mayan civilization built more than 100,000 pyramids. It was a topic of my PhD. For years I was traveling to the Mayan world, Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Belize. I realized that 97% of the pyramids, temples, towns are still under the soil, vegetation, and forest. This one here in the Mayan city of Tikal was considered the biggest one for the longest time, 72 meters. However, even a bigger one was discovered in the new town called El Mirador, also northern Guatemala. The pyramid is hidden right there, under the forest. And here we can see traces of some other tall structures. If cleared, it would look like this. Mexico, La Venta Pyramid, also covered by soil. Palenque, it's in the Mexican state of Chiapas. 25 pyramids have been uncovered, like this one here, Temple of Inscriptions, but originally they had 1,229 pyramids. And the biggest one is right here, under the forest. And the Mexican government does not have any intention to uncover it. The reason? This is the oldest pyramid. Now, doesn't sound logical. Oldest is the biggest, the most superior. This is not what they teach us in schools. They tell us before we were simple and primitive, cavemen, and today we are the most intelligent, the most technologically advanced, and the most beautiful. Well, we are not. Western Honduras, the Mayan city of Copan. The pyramid was badly damaged by the trees, so they decided to remove the trees, and while doing that, they opened the pyramid and they realized that inside the pyramid there was 700 years old temple, which they named Rosalila, and in this particular case, the pyramid was used as a protection for something even more important. Pyramids in China, in the central province of Shanxi. 1967, the Chinese archaeologist went to the conference in Japan, and he announced there are 250 pyramids in this province, 20 of them big. He found clay tablets, deciphered them partially, the age 12,800 of the biggest pyramids. Those that they came later, the smaller ones, they came from 2,300 years back until 1,000 before present. He came back to China, and the Communist Party put him into the mental hospital. Why? Officially, the Chinese history is 5,000 years old, but the Chinese state is 2,300. It was established by the Emperor Qin, who united 7 Chinese provinces in blood, who built the Great Chinese Wall, started the same currency, so he is celebrated as the guy who started the Chinese state. And now, because of the pyramids, we need to go back for 10,000 years. 1967, 68, the age of the Chinese famous Cultural Revolution. If you had different opinion, you would not have a good time. Well, here we are, 55 years later. Has much changed? I spoke to the Chinese archaeologists, and they told me they will not get permission to uncover their pyramids for another generation, another 30 years. Gunung Padang, Western Java, Indonesia, Dr. Danny Hillman, geophysicist with PhD from California, he discovered the pyramid in the jungle. 4 triangular faces, 100 meters in height. Originally, it looked like this. And he discovered it 6 months after I discovered the Bosnian pyramids, back in 2006. I was very happy because he found some organic material while doing geological core drilling, and the age, 27,000 years. He published that, and all archaeologists, historians, geologists from Indonesia and from Asia attacked him, and they stopped him. No excavation afterwards. This is the look of the most famous Mexican pyramid. It is called the Pyramid of the Sun in the city of Teotihuacan, 165 years ago. Completely covered by forest. It took 75 years for Mexican and American archaeologists to completely uncover it, and this is how it looks today. Looking from base of the pyramid, people who are climbing, they are becoming so tiny, 74 meters. Interestingly enough, the Great Pyramid of Egypt is 2 times higher. The length of the Great Pyramid of Egypt at the base is 231 meters. The length of the Mexican Pyramid of the Sun, 231 meters. In the case of Egypt, we add 2 lengths, 231 plus 231, 462, divide by the height, 146. The result is 3.14. Number pi. In Mexico, square root of number pi. 3 big pyramids at the Giza Plateau, Cheops, Khafre, Mykerinos. 3 big pyramids in Mexico, Sun, Moon, Quetzalcoatl, and their layout is exactly the same. They are telling us in schools there was no communication between continents thousands of years back, and here we can see the signature of the same architect. Almost everything they teach us about ancient history is wrong. Pyramids in the US. I spent 25 years in Houston, Texas. My son went to kindergarten, primary school, and high school, and university. Not a single word about those pyramids. And only in one park, Cahokia National Park in southwestern state of Illinois, we have 120 pyramids. And the biggest one, which is called Monk's Mound, has a surface which is 12% larger than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. In order to build this structure, they needed an equivalent of 122,000 20-ton trucks with the construction material. Shaped sandstone blocks, pebbles, rocks, sand, and in order to build the whole complex, millions and millions of tons of material. I spoke to the archaeologists and I asked them if they've done any research and digging, if they found chambers and passageways and underground water flows. He told me no. I said, why not? He said, well, it's very difficult to get permission. I said, what do you mean it's difficult? This is government national park. You have government museum. You're a government employee. It should be a piece of cake to get permission. Like he said, yes, but you know, archaeology is very expensive. Very expensive. This is United States, the only superpower in the world. There is something else. Those structures were not built by the American Indians. Even though in the museum at the site, which cost $20 million in 1970, today it's $200 million, it's filled with half-naked Indians, and they are represented as the pyramid builders. Indians never built permanent structures, especially not such huge structures. Of course, white Europeans, illegal immigrants, never built those structures. Then who? We need to change the history of the United States. In April of 2005, while I lived in the US, I came to Bosnian town of Visoko, just half an hour drive from the capital city of Sarajevo. I went there to see the local museum, and then I saw this. Everybody called it a natural hill because it is covered by forest, which was planted back in 1960s and 1970s. And we can see bushes, we can see soil, but I was looking at the geometry. In front of me, one side. To the left, another one. 3, 4. It's 4 sides. One triangular face, another one. Here's another one, another one. Corners. 1, 2, 3. In the back is number 4. 4 corners, 4 triangular faces. I took a compass, and the compass showed me that this side is perfectly oriented to the north, east, west, south. Mother Nature does not make hills with the 4 sides, 4 triangular faces, 4 corners, and perfect orientation to the cardinal points, but intelligent hands. So back in 2005, I decided to come back to get permission for the preliminary research. And I got permission as the individual, as a physical person, from the Ministry of Culture. We were doing some core drilling, trenches, lab analysis, everything we did, they were telling me anomaly, anomaly, not done by the Mother Nature. I wrote the book about the discovery of the first European pyramid. I published it. I had a big press conference in October 2005, and I announced that the first European pyramid was discovered. I received 12,000 emails of support from all over the world. But complete cultural establishment, archaeologists, historians, geologists, museums, Ministry of Culture, all against me. They are saying, oh, it's impossible, we don't have pyramids. I went to the Department of Archaeology, University of Sarajevo. I offered them collaboration. I was explaining them stuff. I showed them the book. They said, listen, we know every square meter of Bosnia. We don't have pyramids. Well, today I can say, we don't know 95% what is under the ground. We don't. There are civilizations and civilizations in the past. I went to the National Museum and they told me, we never had pharaohs, therefore we cannot have pyramids. So I realized that these people, they live in the 19th century. They have no clue about the pyramids. So I decided to establish non-profit, non-government foundation under the name Archaeological Park, Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun Foundation. And we started digging, and even without a penny from the government, this has become the most active archaeological site in the world in the last 20 years. From this point up, 220 meters. We started digging archaeological trenches or sondas. This is the corner, the place where two sides meet. Look at the beautiful corner, 90 degrees. Every other spot, 1 meter below the soil, soft soil, we are discovering a structure, blocks. For example, our trench number 4C. 1 meter of soil, we discovered rectangular block. Who would expect that? 4.5 meters long, 1.5 meter wide, 45 centimeters thick, 8 tons. It has 6 flat sides. 1, break at 90 degrees. 2, break at 90. 3, 4, and here, 5 and 6. 6 times breaks at 90 degrees. Mother Nature does not make anything similar. Next to this one is the next block, and the next block, and the second row of blocks, and the third row, and below is number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 rows of blocks. This is a structure. Mother Nature does not construct, but intelligent hands. Look at the material. We took samples and sent them to 7 institutes for materials in Italy, France, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and Bosnia, and they all told us that it was an artificially made concrete. Some people call it geopolymer concrete, some people call it synthetic concrete. But the point is, somebody made it. When it comes to concretes, you can determine the quality of concrete based on 2 elements. The first element is hardness. Harder the concrete, it's more durable, it's better quality. Our concretes today are in the scale from 10 to 60 megapascals. 60, made in Germany, made in the US, the best quality. This concrete, after we've analyzed 50 samples, they are in the range from 73 to 155 megapascals, and this is something that we cannot reach with our technology in 21st century. The second element is the water absorption. If water can get inside the concrete during the winter time, it freezes, and ice has a tendency to expand, and concrete breaks. So our norms today in 21st century, up to 3% water absorption, and this concrete here, only 1%, it is superior. So now we have the best quality concrete ever. So far, we have uncovered thousands of tons of this excellent quality concrete. Now, the construction material, rocks, pebbles, sand, they got when they were digging the tunnels under the ground. They removed hundreds of thousands of tons of materials. All they needed was a binding material. Today, as a binder, we use cement. They used this brownish material, melted clay. Where do they find so much clay? Well, every Bosnian hill has millions of tons of clay, so it was very practical for them. So, construction material under the ground, within a couple of kilometers radius, clay everywhere around. Imagine Egyptians, when they were building their pyramids, they were using limestone from around Cairo, but granite from Aswan, 869 kilometers away. The biggest block in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, 80 tons. The biggest one in second largest, Khafre, 220 tons. Imagine logistic nightmare to move a couple of hundred tons from Aswan all the way to the Giza Plateau. Proto-Bosnians were much smarter and more practical. A couple of kilometers, all the construction materials is there. Bottom left is what we have today, the green pyramid, covered by soil and vegetation. If we keep the same shape, the same geometry, just change the color from green to brownish, grayish, the color of concrete, this is what we are getting. Original look of the pyramid. So from here, like we said, 220 meters. The Great Pyramid of Egypt, 146.5. It's the biggest. But in order to get exact size, we needed to apply the most sophisticated technology today, which is called LiDAR technology. Basically, you have a plane which is flying over the archaeological sites several times. They are shooting laser rays. They go in between the trees and the leaves, hitting the ground. When you have enough points on the ground, then you can remove the greenery and you can remove the houses. And this is what we got. 220 meters is from here. It's very obvious. However, the corner is going all the way to the bottom of the valley. Eastern slope, another corner. Northern. The real height of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 368 meters. 2.5 times higher than the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Now, while applying LiDAR, we got very important points, the tops of the pyramids, top of the Pyramid of the Sun, top of the Dragon, and so on. So now we are playing with those points, and we realize we have many elements of sacred geometry. What are the elements of sacred geometry? Number pi, 3.14. Number phi, golden section, 1.618. Equilateral triangle, hexagon, Fibonacci spiral, and so on. And the ancients were smart. They knew when you have elements of sacred geometry, you have movement of the energy. This is the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. This one right here. This is the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Moon. The distance between the tops, 2.2 kilometers. Or to be precise, 2,180 meters. From the top of the Moon to the top of the Dragon Pyramid, 2.2. From Dragon back to the Sun, 2.2 kilometers. Equilateral triangle with inner angles at 60 degrees. Element of sacred geometry. Here it is. Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, Moon, Dragon. This is the Great Pyramid of Egypt, or Khufu, or Cheops. This is the third pyramid, Menkaure, Mykerinos. This is Gebel Gibli, which is a roughly pyramidally shaped mountain. We connect the tops, equilateral triangle. This is Bolivia, Tijuanaco Plaza with the Sun Temple, Acapena, beautiful stepped pyramid with the granite blocks. Pumapunku, maybe the most beautiful pyramid over there. Equilateral triangle. We have them on 3 continents. Back to the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. Sun, Moon, Dragon, green. And red, top of the Pyramid of Love, Temple of Mother Earth, entrance to the tunnels, River Fonica, triangle within a triangle, sacred geometry. Red connects top of the Sun and Moon and Dragon. Let's make a circle encompassing those 3 points. Now we have middle point of the circle and the triangle, and using the same radius circles, look what we're going to have. From the center, one circle is touching top of the Moon and top of the Dragon. Another one, middle point, top of the Dragon, top of the sun, another one from the center, top of the sun, top of the moon. So what we got is the flower of life, element of sacred geometry. Not any flower of life, but hexagonal flower of life. When we connect their tops, we are getting a hexagon. This is the topographic map of the area, the top of the moon pyramid right here, the top, the highest point of Temple of Mother Earth, this one right here, and the top of the dragon pyramid right here. Perfectly straight line. Fibonacci spiral or golden section spiral, they are almost the same. Giza Plateau. This is an underground structure which is assigned to King Thoth. He was an Egyptian deity. For some people, he was the real designer and builder of Egyptian Giza pyramids. So when we start with the Fibonacci spiral here, on the line of the spiral, we have tops of all three pyramids. Why is this spiral important? Because this is a cosmic model, how the life came into existence. This is how the energy moves. From the seashells all the way to the spiral galaxies. Our DNA, the flowers, storms. It's everywhere. The ancients are doing the same thing when they were laying out their structures. Let's go to Bosnia. Bosnian Pyramid of Love. Sun Pyramid, Temple of Mother Earth, Dragon, and so on. So we start at the top of the Pyramid of Love. Top of the Sun, top of the Temple of Mother Earth, top of the Dragon. And here, all the way, we have top of the tumulus. In archaeology, tumulus is artificial conical hill. I'm going to show it to you later. This is the river Fonica. River Fonica. From here, we have the largest Bosnian river called River Bosna. This is the mouth of two rivers. Now look, this river is actually going east-west. But then all of a sudden, it seems that somebody has moved the riverbed for 90 degrees, sending the river exactly into the Valley of Pyramids, meaning the spot where those two rivers meet is artificially made. And indeed, when we go from the top of the Dragon Pyramid and draw the line, perfect straight line going to the north, it ends at the mouth of two rivers. So now, when we know that that particular spot is important, let's use it for another Fibonacci spiral. So this is one river. This is the big one. So the mouth, beginning, top of the moon pyramid, and it touches both corners of Temple of Mother Earth. This is the tumulus that I was mentioning, tumulus in the village of Vratnica. It's conical, it's not pyramidal, but it's conical, rounded. How do we know it's artificial structure? Because we've done digging there. Look at the blocks, huge blocks, some of them reaching 25 tons. So, again, we start from the mouth of two rivers, and then on this line we have top of the Sun Pyramid, we have entrance to the tunnels, and we have top of the tumulus. Plus, if we have those lines from top of the tumulus to the tunnels, from tumulus to the Sun Pyramid, we are getting isosceles triangle. And not only that, this length to this length, this one is 1.618 times bigger golden section or golden ratio. Ancients were very careful how they're going to lay out the structures. The next element for them is side orientation. Traveling the world, I could see that pyramids in China, in Cambodia, in Indonesia, in Sudan, in Egypt, in Peru, in America, always oriented to the north, cosmic north. For example, the error from the perfect north in the case of the Great Pyramid of Egypt is only 0 degrees and 3 minutes. Imagine, 231 meters. That's 2 football stadiums. And the error is 0 degrees and 3 minutes. Those guys were genius. Other pyramids, like Khafre, 0 degrees, 3 minutes. Mykerinos, 0 degrees, 18 minutes. Bent pyramid in Saqqara, 0 degrees, Dahshur, 0 degrees, 12 minutes. A red pyramid in Dahshur, 0 degrees, 5 minutes. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Egyptologists know that. If you ask them why, well, they would say probably for some religion reasons. When they don't know, they will tell you religion. Independent researchers like Bouval, Robert Schock, Graham Hancock, and the others always mention that, saying, oh, you see, the genius builders. But they don't know why. As a matter of fact, we are the first one who found the answer to that question, why? You have to have an engineering mind. Like, for example, Nikola Tesla. He knew that everything is energy. Our whole planet is a huge energy ball. And 2 strongest energy movements, energy flows, are north-south and east-west. When you build a pyramid, 4-sided, you perfectly orient those sides, then it initiates the movement of the energy inside the pyramid. And guess what? Those 3 chambers in Great Pyramid of Egypt, which they, for some reason, call King's Chamber and Queen's Chamber and Unfinished Chamber, that's the only proper name, by the way, they are all on the way of this energy flow. So they are whoever is inside, they're going to be affected by the energy that's moving inside the pyramid. So that's the reason for the perfect orientation. Now, we are coming to the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. By far the highest, the largest on the planet. The length of the sides are 660 meters. It's 5 football stadiums. Now, if somebody gives you to build a house, let's say 10 meters long, and you got the engineer of geodesy, he tells you, okay, this is the perfect north, and you start building, and you're going to build off a little bit, 2-3 degrees. It's nothing for us. In the case of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, those 5 football stadium length, they were off 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 12 seconds. The most precise ever. How do we know? 3 engineers of geodesy, 2 total stations, the scientific instruments, and they've been measuring and measuring and measuring, and they've been kind of shocked every time they measure. The next interesting element for the pyramids, but also megalithic sites, are so-called ley lines. These are underground energy lines. This is the map of the ley lines in the Central Balkan region. This is Croatia, this is Western Serbia, this is Montenegro, and this is heart-shaped Bosnia. Those ley lines are shown as the red lines, running north-south, east-west, and diagonal. And most of them are intersecting right here, right there. It is not the capital city of Sarajevo, but this is the town of Visoko, exactly where the pyramids have been built. How did they know? The next element, astronomical properties. The ancients were always looking what's happening above them. And they were very careful, especially with our sun, and then 4 moon phases, and then certain star constellations. The sun. The most important day of the year, of course, is the summer solstice. This is the day when the sunlight is the longest, 2/3 of the day. It's the strongest, coming at 90 degrees. And our planet, our mother, is the healthiest. And of course, they are very careful what's going to happen on that day. So, we climbed the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun on June 21st. Remember, we are northern hemisphere. Here, December 22nd. So, June 21st, just before the sunset, the shadow of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun forms the pyramid just next to the western slope of the Pyramid of the Moon, and the height of the Sun pyramid exactly the same like the height of the Moon pyramid. And the shadow is touching the foundation of the Moon pyramid, telling us exactly how high it is. From here to the top, 190 meters, the Great Pyramid of Egypt is still at 146. So 2 largest pyramids in the world, heart of Bosnia. Middle of the summer, the hottest days, August. Shadow of the Sun pyramid, western slope of the Moon pyramid, afternoon hours, evening, just before the sunset, the shadow completely covers the Moon pyramid, and top of the shadow touches the top of the Moon pyramid in a symbolical way. The message from the builders: the rule of the day and the sun is over, and the rule of the night and the moon starts. Genius. Our late friend, Dr. Harry Oldfield from UK, developed a new technology called PIP camera, with which he was able to film or take photo of energy fields which are not visible to the naked human eye. So, this is a pointy mountain in Bosnia. It's not a pyramid, it's a natural mountain, but pointy. And above it, we can see those energy fields. They are all horizontal, green and red and green and blue and green and red, horizontal. This is a village in Serbia. We can see some of those buildings. Look at those fields, green and blue and red and blue, red, horizontal. This is my favorite place in the US. It's a New Age capital of United States. Glastonbury, New Age capital of United Kingdom. And this place right here, it seems to me that you have very significant role in Australia. Relaxed, laid back. I think I'm coming back to Byron Bay. Well, anyway, behind the famous red rocks, and Bell Rock is probably the most famous, it even looks like a step pyramid, we can see those energy fields. They are all horizontal. And really, since I got this equipment, I traveled the world everywhere. Seas and rivers and valleys and cities and mountains. Horizontal, horizontal, horizontal. Except in the case of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. Vertical energy field. That's us in Bosnia. Everything is upside down in Bosnia. We cannot even have those horizontal energy fields like everywhere else. We have to be different. 2007, Dr. Harry Oldfield himself came to the site and he was filming it. Here is the Sun Pyramid. And over there is the town of Visoko, some of the buildings. And let's take a look what's happening inside the pyramid. Look at the red color. Whenever it's red, it means it's energy. We're going to see how it's getting look how many energy we have. the energy is getting accumulated inside the pyramid, and then it's going through the very top, hitting those horizontal fields, and they become vertical. Okay, let's run it again. That's not the story, so let's show that story. So what we have here, it's something that has different thermal signature getting inside the pyramid. The moment that it gets most of the energy, so it's coming to the gas station, and then it's getting out. 2015, 2016, the panoramic photo. This is the town of Visoko, Hotel Piramida Sunca, forest, horizontal energy field like everywhere else, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, the Love Pyramid, vertical. Why? Because this is energetically active pyramid. Whatever that means, it is obviously active, energetic. 2016, the same thing. Well, every December I was taking groups to Egypt for a couple of weeks trips, and I started taking this equipment, and this is the second largest pyramid at the Giza Plateau, Khafre. And look at those energy fields coming from right, horizontal, and right here they become vertical. From the left, horizontal, vertical. I was very excited. I said, wow, we have another pyramid which is energetically active. I made my report. I sent it to my friends, Egyptologists, archaeologists at University of Cairo, University of Ain Shams, University of Alexandria, and they answered me, we don't care about the energy. We know that those pyramids are tombs, and that's it. How old is the Bosnian pyramid? Well, they are covered by soil. If we can figure out the age of soil, we can get to the minimum age of the structure below. The science that investigates origin of soil is called pedology. In Bosnia, we have Institute for Pedology. They took samples from the Sun and the Moon pyramid. The age of the soil is about 15,000 years, meaning the structure below is even older. And then our two young Italian archaeologists, Niccolo Visconti and Riccardo Brett, with our volunteers, they were removing the soil from those concrete blocks, and then they discovered on top of one of the blocks those three brownish pieces of organic material. They're on the top of the structure, meaning it's going to give us, again, minimum age of the structure. We did radiocarbon dating, and the date is 24,800 years plus minus 200 years. So we go back for 25,000 years. It's still minimum age. If we could find organic material between those concrete blocks, then it could give us exact age of the construction. And that's exactly what happened when our archaeological manager, Tim Moon from New Zealand, our neighbor, with our volunteers, this guy from Canada, below the first row of blocks and above the second, like in the sandwich, discovered organic material, this one right here, fossilized leaves. How did they get there? So builders were pouring the concrete, the first layer, the second layer, the third layer, the wind was blowing, bringing those two leaves, and they placed the final coat of concrete. But those two leaves, they're going to give us exact age of the construction. We did radiocarbon dating, and the age is 29,200 years plus minus 400 years. You see the consistency? The soil, 15,000. Top of the pyramid, 25,000. Exact age, 29,200. But this is a radiocarbon date. In order to get calibrated date or calendar age, we are adding about 14%. So the real age of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is 33,600 years. And what we're going to do now? The first pyramids in Europe, the largest on the planet, the most precise orientation to the north on the planet, the best quality concrete on the planet, the most elements of sacred geometry on the planet, and now the oldest on the planet. Every element really requires redefinition of our history. We need to change all our history books. You know, it's not just the history books in Bosnia or Croatia or Serbia, but in Germany and Austria and Poland and France and UK and US and Egypt. You know how many new books, you know how many trees we need to cut? This discovery is actually not very ecological. Maybe that's the reason why it is not accepted. Yeah. Well, what does Wikipedia say? You know, when Wikipedia started, it was really a people's encyclopedia. But once it became prominent and used widely, and then the elites, the monsters behind the scene, they started controlling it. Because the history is so important. Those who control history control present, obviously. And these are not the small countries, not the non-profit foundation, not the small people, but the elites. So Wikipedia is one of their tools. The same like National Geographic or, you know, Smithsonian. 80% of the stuff there is public knowledge. It's fine. But because of 80%, 10 or 20% which is fully controlled, they do the brainwashing. So Wikipedia is saying Bosnian pyramids are pseudo-archaeological claim, not even a project. Hey, we spent 600,000 hours excavating. They're saying it's a claim coming from one guy, this guy right here, that the cluster of natural hills are human-made, ancient. Actually, I never use this human-made or man-made. I'm always using made by intelligent hands. Sometimes even humans are, you know, intelligent, more or less. However, geologists, archaeologists, other scientists have concluded that the hills are natural formations. For example, the best-known Egyptologist in the world, Zahi Hawass, who never came to Bosnia, he said, Osman Agic is hallucinating. Of course, that's the first sentence he uses. And the second, these stones transported by human beings, 40 tons, it's impossible that it was done by humans, 40 tons. Okay, how about 220 tons in Khafre Pyramid, or 375 tons in obelisk in Luxor, or 1,450 tons unfinished obelisk in Aswan. So ancient Egyptians could move thousands, and Bosnians could not move 40 tons. Director of the Council for British Archaeology, Dr. Mike Hayward, Professor Parzinger, President of the German Archaeological Institute, who never came to Bosnia, accused myself, Osman Agic. They said this pyramid scheme is a cruel hoax on an unsuspecting public. Wow. The public did not expect that. And one day, I simply appeared, and they got stunned. Pyramids in Bosnia. Independent, Robert Schoch. He actually came to visit the site at the very beginning, 2006. We have not done a single sample testing, no lab analysis, no energy measurement, nothing. He came, he saw beginning of the excavation, he saw beginning of the tunnels, he said, it's a natural. He also said, Osman Agic started the project because of his future engagement in politics. His future engagement. Well, this was 20 years ago. And guess what? I'm still not in politics. Because you can help your country in different ways. In my way, my decision was to protect the cultural heritage. And he said, and his desire to make money Ooh. Well, we need money to pay bills. But I have been the biggest donor of this project from the very beginning because I had my business in Houston, Texas. I used to have 125 employees at the time, sending all my money to cover excavation. And that the project was a fiasco. Well, thank you very much, Robert Schock. That fiasco has become the most active project in the world of archaeology ever. Andrew Collins never came to Bosnia. I'm extremely skeptical. David Hatcher not convinced, and the most intelligent among them all, that generation, 1990s. I do not find the site to be good evidence for a lost civilization. Well, the matter of fact, he's probably right. This civilization is not lost anymore. It's been discovered. It's here. The gentleman, Dr. Stewart from University of Michigan, never came. There are very warning reports that he and his team have essentially sculpted the sides of these natural hills into something they think resembles pyramids. Wow. The biggest pyramid on the planet. We sculpted it. When? Oh yes, I remember now. One night, it was dark, nobody was looking. So, we sculpted those four sides, perfect triangles, perfect orientation. And in the meantime, I had a small crew of few people who made millions of tons of best quality concrete. We placed it under the soil. So next morning, voila! However, there are some brave people and good scientists who actually came to the site. Dr. Nabil Svelim, triple PhD in archaeology and Egyptology. He was coming for 3 years. He was writing the scientific reports. He, by the way, discovered 4 pyramids in Egypt. He concluded the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is the biggest in the world because it fulfills all the criteria for the pyramids. The leading Russian geophysicist before Russian-Ukraine war, this was 2008, came with the, geoelectrical equipment and some other instruments. Bosnian pyramids match Egyptian pyramids in shape, form, and seismic values. Paul Van Ward, United States, Bosnian pyramids, one of the most interesting discoveries in archaeology. Professor Ezra Zubrov, archaeologist, Buffalo State University, New York. You need to find out who built the Bosnian pyramids, when they were built. And we got it on camera, put it on YouTube. He went back to New York. All his colleagues, archaeologists, historians, attacked him. How dare you to support the Bosnian pyramid pseudo-archaeological claim? Well, I didn't mean that way. Okay. Dr. Paula Violette, late. Dr. Violette, astrophysicist, historians, great guy. He was coming for 5 times. Bosnian pyramids are the biggest discovery in archaeology. Legendary Professor Konstantin Korotkov, University of St. Petersburg. He has developed 17 different instruments. He comes, he measures the pyramid energy. His conclusion, Bosnian pyramids equals the discovery of the Mayan pyramids. So much about mainstream and independent researchers. There are good guys and bad guys everywhere. But if you are doing science, then do science. Don't be politician in the world of science. Thank you. First 5-6 years we spent proving that we have a huge construction complex. And then we've been trying to answer other questions in archaeology. We have 5 of them. What? What is this? It's a pyramid complex. When? Who? How? Why? Well, why is the most interesting question for us? What is the true purpose of pyramids? Unfortunately, archaeologists cannot help us. Historians, geologists, anthropologists, museum curators. Why? Nobody teaches them in the schools about the true purpose of pyramids. Archaeologists, well, they teach them, find a piece of ceramic and primitive tools, it's going to explain the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Well, it won't explain. We needed the true scientists, people with the scientific instruments, geophysicists, physicists, nuclear, atomic physicists, engineers, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers, medical doctors, people who measure. If you can measure, you can scientifically prove. The team of physicists and engineers from Croatia, from Zagreb, came with their instruments. Gauss meter, EMF, oscilloscope, spectrometer. They are doing measurements on the pyramids and on the natural hills. And only on the pyramids, they measured the existence of energy beam, which is 28 kilohertz frequency, going up, which is 4.5 meter radius. 3 months later, we had a team from Serbia. They brought their own scientific instruments, led by engineer Gogo Marjanovic from Belgrade, and he confirmed the same frequency on the top of the Sun Pyramid, 28 kilohertz frequency. And then we have sound engineer from Finland, Heikki Savolainen, his equipment, Professor De Bertolis, University of Trieste, Italy, Professor Konstantin Meil from Germany, famous professor. And they all got the same results. When in the world of science, you have 5 independent teams who come at 5 different times, from 5 different countries, bring their own scientific equipment, and they all get the same results, it is called an international scientific verification of the phenomenon. Which phenomenon? This right here. Energy beam going through the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 28 kilohertz frequency, which is electrical and ultrasound in nature. It is continuous because we've been measuring in spring and summer and fall and the winter and day and the night. It starts with a 4.5 meter radius, expands to 20, 4.5, 20, 4.5, and then we measure the strength of the signal. At the top of the pyramid, on the ground, 28 kilohertz, 1.9 volts, voltage. 3 meters higher, right here, 28 kilohertz, the same frequency, but the strength, 3.9, 2 times higher. Another 3 meters, and again, so it was getting stronger and stronger. Now, this was not very logical, because if the source of the energy is inside the pyramid or below the pyramid, as you move away from the top, the signal should be getting weaker and weaker. This is our technology. But we already concluded everything upside down in Bosnia. Our pyramids work differently. You move away, it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And this phenomenon is called Tesla waves. Some people call it scalar waves. Some people call it non-Hertzian waves. And indeed, the genius mind of Nikola Tesla, 125 years ago, was investigating this phenomenon. In the last 50 years, Russian physicists have been doing that. And they concluded that those Tesla waves, they move quicker than the speed of light. What are we going to do now? Albert Einstein, 100 years ago, hypothesis, the biggest speed in the universe, the speed of light. And indeed, this is really big speed. 300,000 kilometers per second, almost. If our planet is rounded, if it is sphere, we have 40,000 kilometers around. So 300,000 kilometers is 7.5 times in 1 second, big speed. But when we send the speed of light to the sun, it takes 8 minutes. When we send it to the northern star, 700 years. When we send it to the center of our galaxy, Milky Way, 30,000 years. And when we send it to the center of the universe, where one old guy in the white robe and the long white beard is sitting, And he's very busy creating stars and planets and the life forms. It takes 5 billion years for the speed of light to get there from our planet. Now, imagine that we are the creator. These are all my children, all these planets and the stars and the life forms. I don't want to wait 5 billion years to find out what's happening on this little green planet. I want to know now, right now, immediately. The speed of the scalar waves or non-Hertzian waves is more than 100 million times bigger than the speed of light. The moment scalar waves are generated on one end of the galaxy, you can read them at the other end. As a matter of fact, for them, time does not exist. That's why they are ideal form for the communication, transportation of energy, transportation of information. This genius mind was trying to fulfill the noble goals he promised to humanity, to get clean energy, unlimited quantities of energy, and free energy. He constructed famous Wardenclyffe Tower with the money of J.P. Morgan. And he's done several experiments. And he was writing in his diary, I found a way to transport unlimited quantities of energy, thousands of horsepowers, between two planets, regardless of their distance. And the frequency he was using, 28 kilohertz, exactly the same that we measure on the top of the Bosnian pyramid of the sun. He, through unsuccessful and successful experiments, figured out the proper frequency, and the Bosnian builders knew that more than 30,000 years ago. Now what happened with Tesla? With this huge discovery of free transportation of energy, he went to J.P. Morgan's. And this super billionaire was listening to him, and he said, well, if it is free, how am I going to make money? Nothing out of it. Because those monsters, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Morgans, DuPont, they started with the dirty sources of energy, coal and oil and gas, nowadays nuclear, dirty, limited, very expensive. And they are charging that energy from us every month. In the last 150 years, less than 3,000 super billionaires started to own more than 95% of our planetary resources. And 90% of us, normal, good intentional, average people, we struggle to pay our bills from first of the month to the next first of the month. So two major problems, energy and distribution. They are saying 8 billion people is too much, people die from hunger. Wait a minute. 8 billion people is not too much. We could all stay in the state of Texas, where I spend so much time. And we could all have, our home and, or in Iran, if somebody wants to go there. It's not the problem with the resources. The problem is the unfair distribution. Because of some who have hundreds of billions of dollars, it's impossible to imagine. What does that mean? Billions of dollars. We have kids who die from hunger every 3 seconds. So as I'm talking right now, one child just died in Togo, another one in Benin, another one in Chad, another one in Mali, another one in South Sudan, another one in Sudan, another one in Niger, another one in Nigeria, another one in Central African Republic, another one in Somalia, another one in Ethiopia, another one in Yemen, another one in Bangladesh, every 3 seconds because of those monsters. But the day will come when free and clean energy will become available to all of us. It's going to change the game. No more oil explorations, no more oil tankers, no more ecological catastrophes, no more refineries, no more pharmaceutical mafia, no more additives for the food industry, no more additives for the water. It's going to change the world. And this will be the first pillar of the free society. And the second pillar will be the free distribution of the resources that we have on this planet. And based on those two pillars, we're going to have a society of free women and free men. Amen. It's not only the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun that's been energetically active. This is the Kukulkan Pyramid in Chichen Itza, Mexico. Just before the storm, the pyramid got activated, energy beam. This was 2007, and guess what? After that, photographs made by the guy from El Salvador, Mexican government forbid people to climb the pyramid. I know that because I was climbing before 2007. I could not after the year 2007. Why? Because probably some irresponsible engineer could come with his equipment and measure the energy beam. Pyramid of the Moon, Teotihuacan, Mexico, energy beam. The first potential purpose of pyramid energy is communication device. Communication on very, very long distances. We were thinking where this energy beam is going. First we thought 90 degrees to the sky. No. In the morning, it's moved to the east. That's exactly where the sun rises. Noontime, south. That's the position of the sun. Afternoon, southwest. Evening, west. Does it mean that our planet communicates with the sun? It's possible. Using the sun as the cosmic gate to communicate with other solar systems, it is possible. But then, pyramids are not only transmitters, they are antennas. They receive the energy. It goes both ways. Cosmic internet. Copyright. In order to figure out the second purpose of pyramid energy, we need to go to the Bosnian underground. Not political, which is very, very developed. We are the most corrupted country in Europe, but archaeological underground. In the last 20 years, we have discovered 7 entrances to prehistorical tunnels under the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. Has anyone visited tunnels in Bosnia? Anyone? Anyone? 1, 2? Okay, I know about you guys. All right. So now you know what you're going to do next. Ravne tunnels we discovered 2005. Ravne in Bosnian means flat. This region was flat at one point. Oh, by the way, look at the material here. When they were digging the tunnels, they were removing this material. Rocks, pebbles, stones, sand. What did they do with the hundreds of thousands of tons of this material? They combined it with melted clay, and they got the best quality concrete. First, eco-friendly civilization. KTK tunnels, 4 meters high. Is metric measurements okay, or yeah, okay. Ravne 2 tunnels, it's right here, discovered in 2015. Ravne 3 tunnels, this is my crew of volunteers, archaeologists, geologists. Here are the tunnels. These are the first artifacts that we discovered there. Some of them Middle Age, some of them Byzantine times, some of them ancient Roman times, some of them Neolithic times. So people were getting inside in some of the sections that they were open for thousands of years. Why is that important? Because National Geographic did a piece about Bosnian pyramids 10 years ago, saying Osman Agic is digging tunnels himself. So far, 3.5 kilometers of tunnels, and originally 100 kilometers. So I am, among other things, construction genius. Ravne 3 tunnels, our volunteers, geologists. Ravne 4 tunnels, 3,300 different artifacts from different time periods. Since I've been digging them, I've been planting those artifacts from different periods. How did I get them? I think eBay was not a bad idea. Yeah. Then first I would break the vase, and then we would discover pieces that they were putting together. In some of the tunnels, like Ravne 3 tunnels, we are discovering stalagmites. Why they are important? Ceiling, stalactite, water dropping to the ground, and stalagmites start growing. Well, those stalagmites obviously can start growing only if you have empty space, the hollow space, if you have tunnels. And the good thing about them, you can date them. We discovered dozens of stalagmites here, above this wall. If the stalagmites are above the wall, it means that the wall is older than the stalagmite that was created later. And we sent some of the stalagmites, complete piece, to institutes for radiocarbon dating. The smaller ones, 3,500 years, 2,500, 3,000, what is this here? 3,000, 26,200 years. The biggest one was 26,000 years. 10,000. Well, if the biggest one, the oldest one is 26,000 years, it means that this hollow space, this tunnel has been there for more than 26,000 years. It takes some time for the surface to be prepared, and then the stalagmite starts growing, usually a few thousand years. Again, we are going back to 30,000 years. Some people were complaining, oh, radiocarbon dating is not so precise. Well, true. It can be off 10%, even 20%. If it is 10 or 20%, you got 30,000, so it is either 25 or 35,000. It is not 200 years. But we said, fine, we're going to apply another scientific method, which is called uranium-thorium analysis. We sent 2 more stalagmites. One was 19,000 years, another one 15,000 years. So those structures, those walls, tunnels are simply the oldest structures in Europe. This phenomenon of the dry walls in different tunnels. Dry walls, no mortar, no cement, but they are very structurally stable. And what was their function? Here is a tunnel. We call it side tunnel. But it's completely filled with this filler, non-compact material, and then drywall has been built. So in this case, we can see 2 civilizations. The first one who built the tunnels, a huge network, a labyrinth. And the second one that came later, who closed all the tunnels, filled them up, and made hundreds of drywalls. Ravne 5 tunnels, real big one. Ravne 6 tunnels, a year and a half ago. Tunnels everywhere. I guess about 100 kilometers of underground tunnels, and 7 different levels. So far, we discovered entrances to 2 levels, 476 meters above the sea level and 471. In some of the tunnels, we are finding those big blocks. Look at this guy, he's sitting on support. If it is on support plate, it means somebody put this plate and then placed this big block. It's nice, nicely shaped, see? And we did the georadar to see what's inside, and we were told on 3 spots we have pieces of quartz crystals, big quartz crystals. Here, there, and the 3rd piece. Quartz crystal has the ability to amplify the energy, and the second one is to transform one form of the energy, in our case electromagnetism, because this is what we can measure, to another one through the piezoelectrical effect, and we are getting the ultrasound. Frequency of the ultrasound, 28 kilohertz, that's the levitation frequency. We scanned this block and we realized that we have a lot of dark blue color, actually indigo. When it comes to the colors, what we can see are the 7 colors. They are on 7 different frequencies. The lowest frequency is red color. You know how they are saying the first chakra is red chakra. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So indigo is actually a very high frequency, which is ideal for the spiritual activities. When you go to the tunnels, you relax, you sit, you meditate. People who deal with the bioenergetical stuff, healers and so on, they said when we are in the tunnels, our power is at least 10 times stronger. Now, when it comes to spirituality, I think it's important to define what the spirituality means. When I was much younger, they were teaching me in school, spirituality equals religion. Well, religions are religions. That's one thing. Faith, another thing, faith, directly with the God. And spirituality for me is development of spiritual senses, so we can sense the world beyond the physical reality. What does that mean? What is the physical reality? It's something that we create using our 5 physical senses. We can hear. What we hear is called sound, from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Actually, as we are getting older, like 2 of us, we hear less and less, 19, 18, 15 kilohertz, sorry. And if we are married for 30, 40 years, we don't hear our wives at all. And of course, they don't hear us. Everything above 20 kilohertz is called the ultrasound. We cannot hear it, but we can measure it. For example, some animals, dogs and cats, they can hear some frequencies of the ultrasound, but not much. When you go to 50 kilohertz, when you go to megahertz, to gigahertz, we don't hear that. When you go to the very deep sounds, 5 hertz, 4 hertz, 3, very, very deep, we don't hear that, infrasound. What we can hear is 0.7% of all sounds in the universe. So, we are officially deaf. We don't hear almost nothing. What we can see are those frequencies of those 7 colors. We don't see 99% of the stuff. What we can taste, what we can smell, it's almost nothing. And I said smell. I have 3 dogs. Of course, dogs can smell stuff much better than us humans. It's not 20% more. It's not 50% more. It is 5,000 times more. And that's the reason why dogs, male dogs, can smell female dog, ready for the business, 5 kilometers away. Have you heard about those cases? Sometimes 3 kilometers, 5, 10 kilometers. And young people nowadays, being so busy, with the mobile phones, they cannot smell a beautiful girl if she is half a meter away. So much about our senses. So our physical world is very, very, very limited. Now, we have 30 spiritual senses. The first 5 are counterparts of our physical senses. We really, all of us, we can hear much more, we can see much more. Nobody is teaching us to develop those senses. The next sense is feeling the energy. When you come to Bosnian pyramids and you go to the tunnels, we trained our guides to ask visitors when they are around this big block, which is, by the way, ceramic blocks, artificially made. We ask them to open their hands. They open their hands. Can you experience something? And then people feel tingling in their fingers. Wow, what is this? They can feel the energy when they focus on that. The next spiritual sense, we can actually see the energy. Of course, it takes some time, but eventually we start seeing. You see this white little field around my fingers? So this is the beginning of our auric field, the most dense part. Auric field is about half a meter. But then we have 7 different energy fields. We are about 10 meters radius when we walk. We can see the colors of our auric field, the colors of our chakras. Now, imagine that we can see those colors. We meet a person and we're looking at the person. If red color is dominant, we know something is wrong. Either the guy is jealous, he's upset, he's violent, and this person can tell us, listen, I'm the most calm person on the planet. I'm the most intelligent, the most beautiful, and the most modest person on the planet. I mean, this is what we do today. We use words, so we have to believe what they tell us. But imagine that we can see. It doesn't matter what the person says anymore, because we can see. If it is green and the blue, it's a love and the health. If it is white, it is wisdom. And then plus, we all have messages for each other. Sometimes we meet person at the airport, talk 10, 20 minutes, and we get a very important message. Maybe even more important that we were getting from our partners for the last 20 years. But unfortunately, the way we live, we don't talk to the other people because they trained us to keep the social distance. And we're not getting our messages. Imagine, we go, we meet someone, we stop, we look at it, colors, messages, we move on. Maybe it will come one day. We have ability to exchange our thoughts. Telepathy is another spiritual sense. We don't use it. I remember when I moved to States 35 years back. Then I would be calling my parents. Before I called them, they were in Bosnia. Before I call them, first I think, I need to call my folks. The moment you think about it, you generate the brain waves. And they go out. And then I called, remember on these old phones, So I called Sarajevo and my father is answering the phone. Oh, your mother told me 2 minutes ago that you were going to call. How did she know? Well, the moment we created the brain waves, they went out to the universe. And who is the best antenna? Our mothers. So this is telepathy, but uncontrolled. Or in another case, We stay late at night, until 3 in the morning. And our wife is waiting us at home, and waiting, and waiting. And finally we come home, half drunk, and she's there sitting. We look at her. She doesn't need to say anything. We know exactly what she thinks. Telepathy. Telekinesis, the power of intention. You know, before, people have dry, sunny days, day after day, week after week. Community sits down, okay, are we going to finally call the rain? Yes, okay, let's do some dance, let's do some power of intention. Next thing you know, the rain starts pouring. In America or in Australia. Original people. Before illegal immigrants came from UK. And finally, teleportation. Do we have ability to move through space and time? Of course, yes. And there are different options. You know, it can be astral projections, astral. But it can be soul movement, soul. So we have physical body, and with the physical body comes the intelligence, emotional body, energy body, and so on. But then the second entity is our soul. And soul has the intelligence also. Of course, you've read many cases, maybe some of you even had that. You're laying on the couch in the afternoon, soul moves, and then first you look at your body, wow, look at this body here. And then you move, you see things. Clinical deaths. Imagine that we can master the ability to move our soul in a controlled way. We remove the brakes and we simply go wherever we want to go. For example, I want to go 2,000 years back to ancient Egypt to see if Cleopatra was the most beautiful woman ever. And then you go there and they are looking at this queen and all her makeup. She wasn't so beautiful, but you know, she knew how to present herself. And then, what am I going to do next? Okay, let me go to Egypt, 1799. Napoleon came with the army, he conquered Egypt. Okay, let me see that short guy who was keeping the hand here. Why? Maybe he had heart problems and he'd had his head, 90 degrees moved. So you start moving through space and time and you realize, wow, what is this? Who am I? Am I the body that's laying on the couch? Obviously not. I'm soul. I have intelligence. I have my senses. I can hear. I can see. And then you realize that you actually have no limits. And that's exactly the definition of the freedom. No limits. When you go back to your body, well, now I'm much smarter. I have no limits. I have soul which lives almost forever, billions of years. So if I'm forever, why should I be afraid of anything in this life? Why should I fear my boss who comes yelling on me every Monday? Why should I fear my corporate manager or my professor or my dean? No need for fear. They yell, bye. I go find something else. And we remove the fear from our life, and that moment we become free. Freedom. That's the real freedom. Spirituality is about the freedom. Once we develop those senses, we realize that the world is much, much bigger place than what's just around us. The place where they try to instill fear through the educational system, through the magical box on the wall, or laptop, or phone, through the religious ceremony, our religious. I spent 25 years in Houston, and I was looking at all these TV channels, 25 of them, religious channels. The guys yelling, fear the God. From now on, you won't be paying 10%, but 20% of your salary for the church. Why should I fear the God? The God did not create us because of the fear. The God created us because of his or her love. And he wanted us to spread love among us, not fear. So spirituality is really about the freedom. And guess what? Pyramid energy develops and amplifies our spiritual ability. In the block K1, a lot of red. Red is low frequency, which penetrates the body, affecting our blood flow. If the blood circulates better, it means we are healthier. This girl from Slovakia, she had the problem with a very low lung capacity. Here's Röntgen. She was using only 47%. 47%, she walks, she has to stop. Walks. She was, for 3 years, trying different therapies, using a bunch of the pills from the pharmaceutical mafia. Nothing was helping her. Of course it was not helping her. You know, pharmaceutical products are not there to heal us, to make us healthy. Because for the pharmaceutical industry, we are not good, we are of no use if we are healthy or if we are dead. Only if we are sick all our life. So she came to the Bosnian pyramid tunnels. And she stayed in Visoko for 12 or 15 days. She was getting in the tunnels 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. Next day, 1 in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. After a couple of weeks, she went back to Bratislava, she got measurement, and she was now using 2 times more, or 84% of her lung. And she came back, and now here she is in front of the entrance of the tunnels. She was volunteering with us. She was pushing the wheelbarrow, which was impossible to even imagine before. Team from Prague, Czech Republic, medical nurse, several people. They were measuring about 20 different parameters. Here's the blood pressure, and here's the glucose in the blood. The guy had 7.8, Jirka, 7.8. In our system, the way we measure it, from 3 to 6, it's normal. From 6 to 10, it's a risky group. Above 10 is diabetes. So 7.8, it was a risky group. The guy went inside the tunnel. After 45 minutes, it dropped to 5.1, which is the normal level. Well, the medical doctors can argue, yeah, but he was walking in the tunnels, and when you walk, your sugar kind of drops. Yes. The other guy, Karel, he was at 10.5 before the tunnels. He came back to the normal level, almost diabetes, normal level. Extreme cases, 20 or 22. Look at this. From 22 to 11 to 9 to 7. Or here, from 20 to 5 to normal level. This diabetes level, I mean, we can see a lot of people who actually die when they're at this level. There is no pharmaceutical product that can reduce your sugar in the blood for such a short time, and plus, without side effects. This woman from Turkey, she had big problems with the high blood pressure, reaching 220 over 135. The women can imagine the migraines she was having for 10 years. Nothing was helping her until she started coming to the tunnels. And after that, the blood pressure never goes higher than 140 over 90. And then we got these instruments from the Russian geophysicist Konstantin Korotkov. It's called BioWell. So we were checking several features of the people before and after the tunnels. Auric field, chakras, stress level, and energy in the cells. So, auric field, before. This woman has discontinued auric field. It's missing. Why? Because of the stress. Energy level 23 joules, balance 89%. She spent 1 hour in the tunnels, she came back, brand new person. Look at this beautiful protective shield. Energy level went 2.5 times up from 23 to 58, balance from 89 to 100%. Chakras. The Eastern traditions, China, Tibet, India, are talking about energy intersections in our body called chakras. 7 chakras at the physical, level, but we have few more above, few more below. But those 7, they should be balanced. They should be here exactly on this line. If you meditate 24 hours a day. But we've seen people with the really bad chakras here or there. So this person is actually having rather good balance. The only problem, the chakras are not open wide enough. And look, after the tunnels, they are 4 or 5 times bigger and more open. If energy flows through our chakras better, it affects all our bodies, physical and mental and intellectual and emotional and so on. Italian doctor Simone Zuccarato, he was volunteering one season in what he knows in his field. He brought electronic microscope and he was checking people before and after the tunnels. So before the tunnel, these are red blood cells. They should be perfectly spherical, circle. However, look at here, there, one on top of each other. So this is a pathogenic picture. And this is after. The circles, beautiful, they only touch each other, they are not on top of each other, and they leave enough room for the white blood cells, those tiny white dots, to do their job, and their job is to remove toxins, like this guy here, from the body, through the blood and the liver. Why is this happening? Now, we always say that our foundation is not in the healing business, and we don't give medical guarantees. But what we do, we measure, we apply science. So, 10 different energy properties, very quickly. The first one is the cosmic radiations. Right now, we are exposed to the cosmic radiation. Some of them are harmful for our body. They attack the body, and our body cells are fighting the enemies. In the tunnels, 25 meters below the ground, no harmful cosmic radiations. The next one is natural radioactivity. Sometimes we walk the streets, we are not even aware that this radioactivity coming from underground attacking our body. So now, our poor body cells, they are looking above enemy, below enemy. They fight for our integrity 24 hours a day. In the tunnels, we apply those instruments. They are called Geiger-Miller counters. You measure radioactivity, no enemies. Then, if you have underground waters, negative energy attacks you. If you have Hartmann intersections, energy lines, intersections, bad for us. If you have Curry intersections, Schneider intersections, the modern science has no clue that these are all different energy lines, some of them good, some of them bad. If it is bad, you don't go and sleep there. You watch the animals, because we don't have those senses no more. Before we could sense it. Now you watch the animals. Dog always goes to positive energy. If dog is sleeping there, put your bed over there. If cat is sleeping there, move away. I mean, people knew that in the past. So, no bad radiations. No signal for the mobile phone. No 3G, no 4G, no 5G. This is the picture that I made back in 2018, Brisbane, downtown Brisbane. Now look at those artificial palm leaves. So the whole tower is kind of friendly looking. This is a person before he talks on the mobile phone. When you see green is always good, health. When you see red, 15 minutes after he talked, bad. And we know. You take mobile phone, you put it there for 15 minutes, you talk, your hand becomes warm, your ear is all red, and 150,000 brain cells have been burned. 15 minutes talk. Of course, we do have 5 billion brain cells. But imagine 150,000 8 o'clock in the morning, 100,000 10 o'clock, 200,000 at noontime, 100,000 1 o'clock. Today 1 million, tomorrow another million, and another million. And then all of a sudden we notice that we process information much slower. We are not becoming any more intelligent, but dumber and dumber. So, of course, we need to talk. But that's why we have a speaker. Put a speaker on. You talk half a meter away from your ear and away from your brain. And if you're sitting around the dinner table and the phone is ringing and you can see your mistress is calling, you tell your wife, "Excuse me, very important business call." And then you go to next room. In the tunnels, no signal for the mobile phone, no signal for the Wi-Fi. No bad radiations. For the first time in our life, when you are deep under the ground in those tunnels, our body cells don't have enemies, they can start doing their job. What is their job? To fix the problems in our body, to start the regeneration process. It doesn't matter if you have high blood pressure, you have pain in the back, you have sugar in your blood, you have tumor, you have some very serious diseases. You come for 15, 20 days, you work on yourself, you give the support to your body, and the tunnels will do the rest, the pyramid energy. And plus, we measure 5 more energy properties. If you can measure, it's measurable. You can scientifically prove. This engineer from Belgrade, Serbia, brought the equipment and he measured extremely low frequency, that's how they are called, ELF, of 7.83 Hertz. In science, they are called original Schumann resonance. We are born at 7.83 Hertz, that was the resonance of our planet until 1990. And after that, so much bad technology, computers, laptops, tablets, microwaves, televisions, mobile phones, satellite dishes, American project HARP. It contaminates, especially cities. In Sarajevo, capital of Bosnia, we measured 12 Hertz. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye. In Munich, 1 million people, 15 Hertz. In New York City, 15 million people, it's 18 Hertz. Why is that problem? When we think, if somebody is still doing that, 7.83 Hertz our brain waves. When we are at 7.83, we are in balance. You go to New York or you go to Sydney, it's 18 Hertz, it's disbalance, which creates stress. And stress has become the cause for 75% of all diseases. You go back to the tunnels, 7.83 Hertz, you go to the pyramids, 7.83 Hertz, you go there, you enjoy, you are back to the balance. We use some of these instruments to measure some other properties. For example, this guy is measuring life energy or chi or prana, 100%, series 20%. This instrument is measuring the phenomenon called negative ions. They are very beneficial to our body. The students of physiology is learning at the University of Medicine. They are learning about 42 beneficial properties of negative ions. More negative ions, better for us. From pressure and sugar and energy level and all kind of stuff. In this conference hall, when you came 2 hours ago, we had about 50 negative ions per cubic centimeter. Now it's about 30. When I let you go home about 3:45 a.m., it will be about 10. But we go outside, it's 200. By the sea, 500. Pine tree forest, mountains, 1,000. Bosnian pyramid tunnels, between 20 and 50,000. You go to the tunnels in the summer, 50 times healthier than the pine tree forest on the top of the mountain. And winter, more than 100,000. So far, we thought that the highest concentration measured was Niagara Falls, between United States and the 51st state. Canada. 100,000. But last February, we measured 340,000 in our tunnels. So really, when you put those 10 elements together, the Bosnian pyramid tunnels are the safest and the healthiest place on the planet. You see how those pyramid builders were smart. Really, they created very complex machine, which is construction from the outside, but the machine that deals with the energy, communication, and now protection of what is the most important and most precious thing in our life, our health. This 94-year-old lady came to the tunnels a few weeks ago. She saw me. She said, "Listen, I heard that the tunnels are good." I said, "Well, yes, many people are saying that." And she goes, "Are they going to help me?" I said, "Well, why don't you go inside with the guide and stay for 1 hour, and then we're going to see." So she went inside for 1 hour. And then she came back. Remember, no guarantees. Water, our city water, medical authorities are saying it's safe because no microbes, no viruses, no bacteria, no fungi. Of course not, because it has been treated by the chloride, and chloride has been a poison. So all our life we drink poison. We cooked on poison. We take a shower with the poison. In some countries they add fluoride. They're saying it's good for teeth. Actually, they even cause some teeth diseases. But until 50 years back, the fluoride was used exclusively as the poison for rats. Fluoride. But when we take fluoride, what it happens, it attacks our nerve system and it closes our pineal gland, which is our window to spirituality. No, 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 no. We don't want you to be spiritual. We want to live in this material world. We want to instill fear in your life. This is what they want. And the fluoride, where it's been used mandatory, let's see, United Kingdom, Republic of Ireland, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, United States, Argentina, Chile also. And then, when we catch this water somewhere in the mountain, it goes through metal pipes, melting the metal. So what we drink are traces of heavy metals. It comes to our kitchens through plastic pipes, melting the plastic. And microplastic has become the leading cause of the cancers. It's been discovered in human heart and in our brains. This is what we drink. So, mildly saying, we drink energetically dead water. If you think that bottled water is better, think twice. Two biggest companies who bottle the water in the world are two soda companies. They are called Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola. In Europe it is Nestle. I don't know who's in Australia. But what they do, they take city water, which is already dead, they're adding aluminum, which attacks our brain. Bromium, barium, and some other heavy metals. Why they do that, I don't know. I really don't know. This is the pyramid water, which has been there in the tunnels for thousands of years. Crystal clear and clean. We did some conventional analysis, microbiological, chemical, it's healthy, and then we sent samples to late Japanese doctor Masaru Emoto, who became very popular in 1990s. He was taking different samples of the water, freezing it at minus 20 degrees Celsius, and then taking photos through electronic microscope. So this is the photo of molecular structure of tap water from New York City. Bad. There is no forms whatsoever. For example, this is the water that goes through generators in a dam, Fujiwara Dam in Japan. Look at molecular structure. Poor water. This is the largest freshwater lake in Japan. It's called Lake Biwa. From satellite, looks beautiful, blue, but it's contaminated. Look at the molecular structure. This is the city water from the town of Visoko, where the pyramids are located. But city water, treated water, look at it. Bad. And this is the pyramid water. Now, I mentioned hexagon as one of the elements of sacred geometry. We sent this water 12 years ago to Japan. At that time, you could send liquid in the post office. It went through the airport in Sarajevo. It was exposed to Röntgen rays. If you're exposed to Röntgen rays, it affects your molecular structure. And then through Frankfurt Airport and Tokyo Airport. Okay, I will stop talking about the water. People are leaving when I mention the water. Well, anyway, it arrived to Japan, and it still kept its beautiful hexagonal structure with the most wonderful crystal-like structure. Just by looking at it, you can say it's energetically alive. It's a happy water. It vibrates high. What does that mean, vibrates high? Well, they don't teach us those lessons in schools about vibrations. Actually, Tesla did. He said, you want to find that secret of the universe, you need to look at it through the energy, frequency, vibration. Our project is not archaeological project. That's the reason why archaeologists do not understand it. It's not project that independent researchers understand because they don't have reference. Our project is about the energy. Pyramids amplifies the energy. It's about frequencies. We measure frequencies. It's about vibrations. Pyramid energy affects our vibrations. They affect vibrations of the water, of the stone, of the community. So, vibrations. When we are upset, when we are jealous, when we are envy, when we are violent, we vibrate low. But when we have love for the whole world, we vibrate high. So what is the purpose in our life? Is it what they teach us in the Western world, Western Europe, America, Australia? Better job, more money, bigger loan, bigger house, bigger... You got 60s, 70s, 80s, you turn around. What was the purpose of my life? To get a bigger loan? Or to feel fulfilled? When you share, when you give, you feel happy and satisfied. You vibrate high. We are what we drink. We drink either this or that. It affects our vibrations. We are what we eat. We are what we think. We are where we spend our time. Why they were saying during Corona project, stay home and listen to the news. Every year we organize volunteers, and they come. This woman is from Australia, by the way. She has PhD in forensic from Sydney. Volunteers are coming from June to October every year. And they spend 3 days, 7 days, 15 days, 1 month, 2 months, no problem. First we show them locations around, we show them pyramids, the tunnels, and the next day we give them tools. And they start working with us. Removing the soil from the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, exposing the oldest structure, the best quality concrete. In the last 15 years, we've had 3,950 volunteers from 64 countries and 6 continents. Doing great work. I'm so proud of every one of them. The youngest, this is not the youngest, but we had a boy which was 8 years old. He came with his parents. And the oldest one was 84 from New York. He came with his kids. 2008, we had 10,000 visitors visiting Bosnian pyramids. Not a single penny we got from the government. 2018, 40,000. 2023, 195,000. Last year, 2024, 245,000 visitors. People keep coming back and back, bringing their friends, bringing their families, because they love the place. And then, it wasn't enough to have archaeology and science and energy and spirituality and healing. I spent all my savings. I purchased 100,000 square meters of neglected, swampy, muddy land with a bunch of garbage. For 2 years we were clearing and cleaning, and we were transforming it into the most beautiful park, which has become the stress-free oasis, the cultural oasis. Every year, hundreds of schools with tens of thousands of children come to our park. Buses go to the free parking lot. Entrance to the tunnels is for free. All our installations are for free. They have water, no contamination, no traffic, no. They play, they sing, they dance, they're having good time. When they leave, we even clean after themselves, the bags and chips and whatever. They love it. And we love when the kids come to our park. Classical music concerts, book promotions, always for free. We bring NBA superstars because we organize humanitarian event every year for the kids without parents. This is a special case. Those kids, they don't have what is the most important in their life, the parental love. But by bringing those superstars, and my crew is there for them, for one day, we try to replace this parental love. Concerts with the regional superstars, we pay those people 10,000 euros. You add equipment and lights and security, 15,000 euros every concert. But we give those concerts for free. Why we are doing that? You know, this is our divine right. We are born free. But then we have such a society that without even asking us, after the first 24 hours, we get the first vaccine. In America, from the first day until 18 years old, 104 mandatory vaccines. We lost our freedom of choice. Well, I want to bring freedom back, at least, to our park. Water fountains from the muddy land, park of flowers. This is how the park looks like. What is the miracle in Bosnia? The transformation of neglected, muddy, swampy land into one of the most beautiful parks in Europe. The archaeological discoveries, sports, culture, art, labyrinths of love and energy, more than 60 different installations. Very exciting. Energy 8, labyrinth of love with 6 aspects of love. Phototherapy, our flag, love, peace, freedom. These guys are from Bulgaria. Before today. No government money.